You shared it again?
Now we're live, so yeah, you could now.
Okay. No, can you share it with me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
You're welcome. All right, sorry about that, guys. Don't have any viewers yet, but share my friend's timeline.
It's frozen again.
It is?
I don't know. I'm trying to look at it on my computer too to make sure that it's not like freezing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
All
back.
right, sorry about that, guys. Hopefully everything will be good on this end. Um, so as I was saying, we'll start this over. Welcome to the Purpose Lab, the Boss Up Chat series that we have where we come every Tuesday night at 9:30 p.m. where we come and here for our ladies as well as our welcome men to share our ways of where you can ignite your purpose. And this is the space where we call the lab. So this is where your experiences, your as and what we're talking about this week is about seasons, and that's where we froze. So I wanted to go on and share a little bit more about that. And again, as I mentioned, my name is Lauren L.C. Driver. I'm here in Harlem, New York, and we have the lovely
Anise. It's
Still
freezing
see you and hear.
again. Yeah, it's freezing again.
All right, cool. We should be all right here.
Yeah.
All right, so Anise out of Atlanta.
Yeah.
So what do you have to share as far as where it comes, what we wanted to talk about this week as far as where it comes about seasons?
Well, I think there was some, I don't remember the comments that were 2 weeks ago, but I think there was some comments and questions being fleshed out about the season that we were in, the season that you find yourself in, how to navigate the seasons, how to jump over the seasons. And so I don't know if anybody's, I can't see the chat's not, it doesn't look like anybody on my end. If anybody wants to, what season are you in? If somebody wants to comment on that, or did you just come out of a season, or do you have cyclical seasons? How do you navigate your seasons?
Yes. So definitely type in the chat, guys, what season or particularly you're in. I can share my feedback as to kind of have my realms of seasons that seems to flow, and this is the year where it starts to shift. So I'm always making sure I'm doing my best to keep in action no matter what season I'm in. Even there's times where I might be in a season of particular hardships, things like that. And I find that my personal life and sometimes my business life are in two different seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to, and just say for instance, if my personal life is going through, a dark season or whatever the case may be, I try to always speak some light, into that, and ask God to help guide me through. So that way I can still be where I need to be, in spite of where I am in seasons on both my personal life as well as my business.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have any comments yet. Anybody who are tuning in, please share what particular season that you are in your life. If you're going through a particular or any kind of particular play you have about that. I do remember. I think it was actually a gentleman the last time we were on. He was saying, what we were talking about. He was going through that season in his life right now, where he felt kind of was going through particular hardships and figuring out where to wiggle his way out. So, we have some shy people on right now.
No, I don't think it's I don't think they're
But for
shy.
anybody
There's something going on with the signal. It is just going in and out really, really bad.
Is it?
It gets like stuck, and then the sound is doing like this weird thing. I don't know. What's the weather like there?
The weather's clear here.
Is
I
it?
mean, my it's clear on my end. I'm not hearing any frozen or.
Yeah, when you're talking, it's like going in and out, and you're getting stuck a little bit. I don't know if that's what they're saying too.
Oh, button.
Yeah, see, I can't hear you. It's like goes in, and then you like come back, and a word comes out.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know. It could just be the site or something like that.
One second.
Okay.
All right, you can go ahead. All right.
It looks like I'm frozen because I'm looking. I don't know.
I can
Maybe
still
there's
see you and hear you.
okay. Maybe there's just a lag. So I don't know if there are two people on or not. I don't know, but we really would like to do like get a little bit of questions or comments about where you are in your seasons. How do you define your seasons? Do you, if we look at the natural world, every season has a name. Do you name your seasons? Do you understand when you are in the winter of your year, or the winter of a moment, or the summer of a moment, with relationships, with business, with spiritual aspects? How do you define? Do you define? Do you name? Do you refine through the definition? What season are you in? Or are you just kind of going with the flow and not paying attention to the cycles or the cyclical? Every year we have summer, every year we have spring, every year we have fall, every year we have winter. Can you name where you are in the particular moment in every aspect of your life?
Say that last part again as far as could you name?
Can you name? Can you name what season? It doesn't have to be, I'm in the summer of my business. Okay, we don't know what that means. But can you name where you are in every aspect of your life? What season are you in your finances? Right? Your credit may not be great, but you could be rebounding. So you could be in a season of rebounding. Your relationship may have gone through some things, but you could be on the rebound. Does that make sense? Everything that we live in a cycle. And so we have to pay attention to the cycles that we're in and understand certain aspects and components that are present in our seasons, in our realms, in our facets, and that'll help us navigate a little bit better. If I can call that this is a winter season, then I know what to do in winter. I know to wear a coat, right? I know to bring an umbrella. I know I got to put away my shorts, my tank tops. I have to double down to get through this season of winter. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So it's identifying your season that you're particularly in. Like, what are you willing to, um, it's like prepare. You know what I mean? What preparation? And I feel like this is when you go through your seasons better. You get what I'm saying? Like, if you do become prepared, there are times seasons come and just hit us.
Yes.
Like the weather did the same thing. I don't know about Atlanta.
Yes, we have tornadoes.
Yeah, same
Y'all
thing.
have
It just
snow.
kind of hit you. And I feel like,
Yes.
that's the same thing that particularly happens in life. Like, we have the seasons just, you know what I mean? And you find yourself, like for me, like, I mean, if we're talking like, let's just like, we're talking about weather, but we're also talking about here what's in our life. Like, I was just like, why is it so cold right now here in New York or whatever. Like, it's supposed to be warm.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know how to prepare for the season. I don't know how to particularly get dressed. And sometimes I find that going on in my personal life. I'll have, times where, I just fell out of it, and I don't even want to say or whatever had seasons that March, I would say February, March, and April was like a season of like a lot of passings within my family. That was an unprepared season that I wasn't, prepared for. But guess what? I mean, I we know these things are going to happen. We just don't know who, what, if it's me or the next person, or whatever the case may be. And the best way I know how to prep and prepare myself is to, just definitely ground myself and really come to a sense of, prayer and ask for, some wisdom and some strength, you know what I mean? So, we have those particular seasons that come and hit us. We have a comment that says season to plant seeds, then a season to harvest. I love that, Ohilda.
Yes. Yes. And so what she's referring to, we know that the ground is so important to what we see, where we plant our business, where we plant our relationships. The ground that we planted in, the ground itself is in a season. And so you have to properly scatter your seed of energy, your seed of activity, your seed of acumen, your seed of education, and the proper timing for the ground to give nurture and nurturing to the growth of the seed. There's so many facets and components. You can't expect, I'm a harvest, everything's going to be all good all the time. It's going to be sunshine, rainbows, and candied apples, baby. That's not true. You're going to be like really unhappy. Like, you're going to be like, yes, summer bodies are made in the winter. Absolutely. We have to pay attention to the stages that we're in and plan for everything you're doing today is what you're going to live off of tomorrow. I sow a seed today, I harvest and I eat off that harvest, I sell that harvest goes to market, right? Everything that you're doing today is setting you up for tomorrow. What you're living today is what you sowed yesterday. And so what am I doing, even in the season of upset, even when you said, I came through a season and I had to deal with the grief. It hit me. I know it's a part of life, but it still hurts. It's still real, and I need a moment. So how do you make room for that in a place of, in some places we're harvesting and in some places we're sowing? How do we plan for the space for me to do real life when I'm going through something?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I missed all these comments. Similar to summer bodies are made in the winter. Absolutely. Many people think businesses are successful overnight. However, you have to keep working in your business to prepare for your success. Absolutely. I remember one of my mentors, even when you're working and going through the seasons and stuff like that, a lot of times people think success is like a straight arrow, when really it's loops, it's turns, it's back spaces, it's left, it's right, it's up, it's down. You know what I mean? And there's not all times where it's up. The only time there's going to be up is what when you have your downs, what are you taking in? And that's one thing. I remember my mentor has said, if you go through, if we want to talk about particular seasons, if we go through that season of all the hardships, like that are on the back end waiting for you. It's a test to even know if you're worthy of these things that you want, because you have to become this person to have this success. You get me? You get what I'm saying? Like, if you can't even handle the hurdles and things that it takes as far as just your business or anything, you're not going to be able to handle when you're not even worthy of the success and things like that. So it's like, I feel like, I don't look at failure as failure. I look at failure as feedback. You know what I'm saying? I look at it on, these are things that are lessons, things that areas that I particularly need to work on, or whatever the case may be. What happened that went wrong and what could I do to work on that? That's a season within itself of learning how to, work through your adversities. But yeah, I always say failure is feedback to my success.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like these are channels being particularly told throughout your process. So, Hilda, you're absolutely right. Like a lot of people do think, oh, I just want to go and start my own business and, things like that. I'm just going to go and I want to work for myself. And I remember talking about this on my live, I think yesterday, as far as when I was talking on Thrive Abundantly TV. And, if you can't even handle your own job with grace and anything like that, a lot of times it's going to be hard for you to even take on your own job that you prepared and provided for yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was literally one of those people who I couldn't stand working, for someone else or anything, but I was there gracefully.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, regardless of the matter, I never was like a horrible worker and I was always complaining and my face is all pouted out. You know what I mean? I was there with just as much enthusiasm and grace as I am when I'm working for myself.
Right.
So that was a very good point.
Yeah, I always say a couple of things. The type of follower you are is the type of follower you're going to get. When it's your turn to lead, the type of follower that you are, the type of manager that you are, the type of help that you are is the same type of help you're going to get. Mm-hmm. When you say, you look at your failure or the places when you not fail, but you flail a little bit. It's feedback showing you, where you need to clean up your practices. For me, the truth is, winter is not a season of death. Winter is a season of rest. It's not death. It's rest. And I'm in that time of rest, I'm learning things about myself. I'm learning things. I call it, number one, business owners, people in general, but business owners is what we're talking about, especially. We have to live to fight another day. That's what we're doing. That's what we're learning to do to build a legacy. We're learning to fight another day. Whatever you're doing processes so that you will live to fight another day and that your business, your legacy, your purpose will outlive you and be passed on to the generations that come to you. So what happens to us is what I like to call the bow and arrow effect. I'm going over yonder, and the only way for me to go there and to get there is I've got to be pulled back and back and back. The more tension that is on this bow, the farther I'm going to fly. So I go through seasons of what looks like lack, what looks like depletion, what looks like obstacles, what looks like stress and strain. And really all that tension is doing, it's preparing me for takeoff. So that while I've gone through all of this, I have earned the strength, I have earned the stripes, I have earned the courage that when I get shot, I stick to where I'm going. I'm not a one-hit wonder. I hit the target. My purpose hits the target. My legacy hits the target. And so every season that we're in, it's stretching us so that when we are launched, we hit, we stick, and we stay.
I love that. We hit, we stick, and we stay. Absolutely. And one of the things that I love that you said about that, and I feel like this is one thing that is super needed where some people are, I guess the fear starts to come into space. We have to be stretched. We have to stretch ourselves. It's an area and it's uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be a little bit of hold back, some strength and things like that to pull back. We might snap back out, you know what I'm saying, or anything. Just think of the visualization of the bow and arrow. We have to be stretched, and sometimes we got to be, we're resistant to it, but we have to be willing to do that. And sometimes it's other people that are shooting that bow and arrow with us. It's not us doing it ourselves. So, always be open and coachable to, other people. And if you don't have any kind of support or things like that, that's where stuff like this is here for. That's where, Anise, where she has, her business coaching as well as I have my business coaching. This is where you have avenues of where you have people who can stretch you, but you need to be open and willing to be stretched and just allow that time, because as you continue to allow yourself to be stretched and you keep, pulling and pulling, and you aim on that target, this is where you hit there. What you said, you hit, you nail, you stick.
Yeah.
I might have said that wrong.
Same difference.
You know what I mean?
Go, girl, going with that.
That's my little remix, my niece remix.
Yeah. It was the New York style. That's what we do in New York.
Right, that's the New York version. She did the hot Atlanta version. I get the New York version. You hit, you now, you stick. Yes. Go in, go out, get there, and you're done.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, you have to allow yourself to stretch. That is like huge. So
you think about, I didn't mean to cut you off. When you think about a woman having a baby, it's the greatest miracle. It's the greatest miracle. It is the greatest miracle. But the only way that she can carry this baby is if she's stretched beyond capacity, and things are happening in her body that are natural, but they are unnatural. The only way to carry things full term is to be stretched, to go through the labor, to go through the pain, so that you are bonded. Come on. You got to be bonded to your purpose. You got to be bonded to this thing that you're pushing out to the world. You got to be bonded to this miracle of you that you're giving to. You got to be bonded to. So many people jump out and they do things and they're not bonded to their purpose, and that's why they loose it and they let it go. Because I adopted you, or you're a foster child purpose. You didn't come from my own loins. You didn't come from my own womb.
Yes, definitely. That's a really good key point, is that, and then sometimes, I actually have some of my coaching clients that says, I tried, but it didn't work. I tried, but it didn't work. And I said, well, what's the try part for one? And if you tried and it didn't work, that means you stop. If you come to the point where you have to say, I tried and it didn't work, you aren't committed to it. Because if you're committed, you never stop. There's no such thing as coming to a space of saying it didn't work. You just find something else, find another avenue, let's lay everything out on the table here and figure out whatever. It's not that it didn't work. It's more of like what feedback are we getting? Like I said earlier, failure is a feedback. So we tend to get to the space where failure becomes the halt, and that's it. We done. We let go of the bow and arrow, and we put the bow on it down, and we don't even aim. And that resistance go back, because they stretched and it just got uncomfortable and they went back. It's like, you constrict it. So it's like, you have to realize and remember too, every time you stretch, there's a constriction coming back in. So it's like a wave that's coming in back and forth. And it's okay to come back, but just keep going, until you start to become stretched. Pretty much, restriction is always going to come when you're trying to stretch, and it could be things where they're getting in our way. Your friends, your families, you allowed failures or things like that, or like when my client particularly said, "I tried, but it didn't work." I was like, "This is what happened. You try, it didn't work. Okay, let's keep trying." You want to keep coming to the point of keep stretching yourself. So I asked her, is it okay if we find out other options and roadmaps to get to where we want to go? Is this something that first I asked, is this something that you really want? Because if it's not, then we need to dig deeper on what it is that you want. So if you talked about, and he's talked about, the analogy as far as like, because I didn't, birth you myself or whatever, and you're a foster child or whatever, this is as far as purpose and aspect, this is where it's like it's not meant to be. You know what I'm saying? Or anything. And that's not necessarily true. You could still, as far as if, for those who are if you are a foster child or anything like that, it doesn't mean that you can't be loved as if you're your own, or anything like that. You still can get the same loving and care and nurture and everything.
We're not talking about children. We're talking about the the natural
Yeah,
bond that comes from birthing something. When you're talking about purpose and creativity, that has to come from within you because it is a piece of you. It has
right.
to come from within. Even if I'm doing something that doesn't necessarily look like or mirror what I'm saying I want to do, am I so tied to what is in me that I'll do what is necessary, whatever I have to do that's going to feed my purpose being pushed out in some season going forward.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Darren, no, you're not too late. You're in. You're tuned in. Thank you for tuning in. He was on the week prior when we were talking about seasons, and
Mm-hmm.
what we were sharing earlier at the beginning of this live is, what season are you in? And I
Mm-hmm.
believe you did share before, what we were talking about last the week prior, as far as having a purpose crisis and being within that season. So no, you're not too late. We're happy for you to tune in, and definitely, if you have any feedback or questions, type in the chat. And anybody else who's tuned in here, if this is something that is providing some value to you in your lives, please, we love to hear from you. Some thumbs up. Please feel free to share this live. This is why we're on here, to share our takeaways, our feedback, but it means nothing, and this wouldn't be a chat series if you guys aren't chatting with us. So we appreciate your comments, your feedback, and whatever it is, questions that you particularly have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, no, okay, sorry, I thought I missed a comment here.
Okay.
So, Anise, when we come to the aspect of identifying our season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether, or how would one be able to come to a space to even know what season they're in?
Okay, so I don't know if you guys, the two of you guys that are on, praise the
Yeah,
Lord.
we're kind of quiet tonight.
Yeah, it's all gravy. The two of you guys that are on have something to write with and take some notes because this could be eye opening. And if you're watching this later on, this could be eye opening. Whenever I get into a space where people are chatting or talking or whatever, I take out my notes and I begin to write because I'm looking to be fed. I'm looking to hear something that I hadn't maybe considered before, and that's where growth happens. Okay. In every aspect, we have to understand we will be to people, places, and purposes as people will be to our place, our purpose, and our person. Okay? So there are some places and some seasons that we've gone through: childhood, teenage years, young adult, depending on how old you are, whatever. Things have happened to you. And because, number one, when we talk about seasons means that it's moving. It means that it's not going to stay the same. It's not going to yield the same. It's always moving. There's a cycle that is attached to the season. And so sometimes when you're talking about having a client that says, you know what, I tried this, I tried that, and you were really guzzling that water.
They
You
can't see
tried.
me.
I tried this. I tried. Y'all have to forgive me. I'm funny. I tried this. I tried that, and I just don't want it. I just don't know. This is so hard. This is so hard. I've tried. I've tried. I'm giving up. What we have to really listen for, what we're really listening to, is somebody speaking through hurt, somebody speaking through rejection, somebody speaking through lack of help, lack of aid. People left you. You felt like, I've been there for people. I get behind other people's missions. I support what they're doing. And now it's my turn. And I need some help. I need some people. I need some manpower. I need some love. I need some grace. And I'm not getting the resources that I need. And so the one thing that helps me is to look at my life and my whole space. I am a tree. I'm a tree. And so me being a tree, I have ground, I have roots, I have limbs, I have leaves, and I have fruit. Leaves, fruit, limbs, tree trunk actually itself, the root, and the ground. There are only a couple of things in my process of being a tree that's going to stay the same. Everything else is going to change. The limbs must be pruned back in order for me to keep growing. The leaves must fall off once the fruit is plucked. And so we have to understand, people left my life. This didn't work. This business left my life. I opened this business and it didn't work. I opened this ministry and it didn't work. I tried this before. I opened 3 businesses and I've had to close them, and I'm tired. I'm tired. I want you to understand, but those were leaves. And those leaves are to help you bear more fruit in another season. Leaves provide food to the tree. And so you have to understand, before a tree can really bear for real, there's a season of loss. Seasons of loss of leaves for real. The leaves represent money. The leaves represent people. The leaves represent resources, networking. The leaves represent family. The leaves represent friends. The leaves represent all of these things that are fleeting, that can fly off, that once the fruit is plucked, or we go through another cycle where there is no fruit. When you first plant a tree, those first couple of years, the tree may grow, but you're not going to see no fruit. Mm-hmm. It's not ready. It's not time. So the tree has to be able to populate leaves. That's how the tree eats, through the root system and the leaves. So there's going to be seasons of loss of leaves so you can bear fruit continuously and eventually. And we've got to be okay with the seasons where we're just losing leaves. Here's the thing. I may be losing leaves, but am I growing? Are you growing? Are you getting bigger? Are your limbs stretching out? Do you find that more birds come to nest in your leaves? Even though they fall off, are you growing? Success ain't what we think success is. Success is not what you think success is. Those businesses that close, you learn more from what happened when they closed than the business that is successful. You learned about you. You learned about your soul. You learned about your strategy. You learned about your weak places. You learn more in the seasons where you lose your leaves than the seasons where you bear fruit. We have to begin to honor the loss of leaves. Over this next week, I want you to make a list of the things that you've lost and you're still kind of salty about it. She walked away, he walked away, they were supposed to invest money, they didn't invest the money, blah, blah, blah. I need you to make a list of those things, and I need you to appreciate the loss of the leaves, but the season of growth. If they had stuck with you, baby, you would have rotted out. If they had did what you wanted them to do, your growth would have been stunted. You would have stayed a shrub instead of growing into a tree. Success is not what we determine and call success. We have to understand what we see out in nature is the same growth cycle, and that is what happens on the inside of us and what happens in our own land, our own life. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I'm gonna go to the comments first, and then I'll kind of give a feedback. So, hi Diana. We have Diana Benson that tuned in. Hello, and Darren said, "But I'm warming up to a spring moment."
Good.
Well, explain more what that is. What's spring for you as far as in your season? He said, "Well, I'm 6'9", so I guess automatically I'm a tree." Absolutely. 6'9". Can you imagine? I'm 5'2". He's 6'9". It's like huge.
Wow.
I see that you put a question mark, Darren, when you said life cycles and a question mark. Can you elaborate? Is that where you want us to kind of go on what life cycles is? Or were you just making that particular comment? What do you mean by life cycles? And he said, basically, a tree has to grow throughout all seasons. So we could say it's trials we deal with. Absolutely. You know, things are always worth to still stay there. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
you can kind of look back and know the seasons that you worked through and what's still standing there. But I love what, you know, you said, Anise, as far as success isn't what we think. I mean, success is typically, uh, success pretty much is the trials and tribulations of getting through and to go through that. You know what I mean? Like, success isn't necessarily like money and all these great things that
It's stuck on my end.
we lost Anise. So if you guys can still hear me, let me know. Anise should probably be back shortly. If you can still hear me, tell me you can still hear me. Up, she's back. So Darren, okay, he said yes, please. As far as to explain, and I think Anise, you were speaking on life cycles, and he had a question about that particularly.
Okay, well, number one, all trees don't grow forever. Only certain trees grow forever. And those are the trees that grow little by little every year. The trees that grow, there's a myrtle tree. I just did a study on this. The myrtle tree grows about 11 inches a year, but because it only grows so little, the leaves are always green. And there's so many leaves that you almost cannot see the limbs of the tree. And the wood is coveted because the tree is growing all the days of its life. Before you got on, we said this. The role, the goal of your purpose, of your life, of your legacy is to outlive and to outlast your natural life. Business owners, we must have the wisdom to live another day. We must have the wherewithal and the fortitude to live, to fight another day. And so as you grow, your roots grow. Things are going to happen. You are going to be chopped down. The sun is going to come up and it's going to be scorching. And if you're not rooted, you will have no legacy. You will be uprooted, and everything that you worked for and all the space that you occupied will have been for naught. It's not about the money. It's yes, money has to do with it because you need money to pay your bills, and you know what I'm saying. It's not, but it's not about your name recognition. When you double down and you really think about what I really want to do, what do I really want to be known for, what do I really want my children to grow up in and say, this is the legacy that I have flowing through my veins. This is what it's all for. This is what our line does. This is what our family does. And then it's going to take out all the fluff and stuff of, people, needing people, your network, resources. You will stand in the place, I call it your juice. I don't know why. You'll stand in the place of your juice, and come what may, you'll say, I'm sticking with this. I'm staying here. I'm here till I die. I'm going to give my blood for this. Here's the thing. Side note. Passion is not pretty. Living in your passion is not pretty. Passion means, what will you die for? What will you bleed for? What will you cry for? What will you have insomnia for? What will you do for free? Passion hurts because passion will kill you. Passion will kill everything about you. Passion will make you look different. Passion will make you be homeless. Passion. And so when you begin to move in your passion, it hurts to do this. It hurts for me to survive like this, but I can't help it. This is what I was built for. I'm moving in another realm. You become like a tree, and there are life cycles. If you want to live, to fight another day, you appreciate your winter, your season of rest. You appreciate your spring, the season of budding but not full bloom. You appreciate your summer, where the world comes to look at your beauty and the world comes to sit under your shade. And then you'll appreciate your fall when those things begin to die and people begin to leave and make ready for your rest. You'll appreciate all of it because you will understand this is the cycle of my thriving. This is the cycle of my thriving. This is and it's not about me. It's not about my 90, 100 years upon the earth. It's about my name. It's about my legacy. It's about my legend. It's about my juice. It's about my blood being left here when I'm gone. I didn't mean to yell at you if I did. My bad.
No, that was really necessary and needed. Okay, we have, what about petrified trees? Basically, they are solid completely. So if I may, can I say that when you're solid, that would mean you are where you're at, achievement, accomplishments, and you can't be knocked down. You agree or disagree?
It depends. It depends because I'll say this. There are some places that we may go in our life. There are some places that I've been in my personal life where I thought I was solid. And life came. And I wasn't as solid as I thought. And so really what I got another chance to rebuild, to be replanted, and to become solid. Here's the thing. Sometimes when we get solid, we stop growing. We stop desiring growth. We rest in the fact of this is what I've accomplished. This is what I've done. I don't believe in retirement. I don't believe in it. I believe in stopping one thing and moving to a next. I believe as you are growing, you are growing. As you're going, you are growing. As you're getting older, you only have more to give the world, but you have to find you have to find your river. You have to find an avenue. You have to find hearts and ears that will listen. And so, yes, you can have amassed great success where you are. And once you've amassed it, you got to say to yourself, is this it? How can I still grow? How can I still take up ground? There's one of me and I'm really solid. How can I multiply this river, this thing? How can I replicate this system into a grove where it's not just about me and my success? Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it makes sense. Does that make sense? I hope we were able to answer your question in that way. Please type in the chat.
I can't see the chat.
Some of them are showing up on the phone versus in here, but I've been checking both. Let us know if that was, answering to your question, Darren. And I agree to some extent. I definitely agree with Anise. Like, it really does depend on the aspects. And if if you're, like when you said as far as when you're solid, right? And you've came to the grist of having your particular achievement. Is that a sense of a solid space for you? You know what I mean? Like sometimes people get to a space of like accomplishments and feeling solid to prove for other people wrong, but then they're still empty inside and not solid with themselves. So I think I agree to the fact if you are, he said yes, thank you. If you are solid as far as where it comes with your, with that particular accomplishment or achievement or whatever. Because you'd be surprised a lot of times, and this is what it's called a strong suit. When, you take particular hurts or failures or anything like that you take to use to, I guess, prove other people wrong or anything like that to achieve something, and you achieve it, but there's times where people still have that sense of emptiness because they didn't do it for them. They did it to prove the next person wrong, and then you're not there. I mean, some people get a joy of having that strong suit to use, whatever it is that,
But you're really not solid. You're solid on the outside, but you're hollow on the inside.
Exactly. So that's where I disagree on that aspect. Are you solid with you? Your decision, your accomplishment, and what you did for, and what was the why and the core behind it, and what sense of fulfillment did that give? If it was no fulfillment behind it, and then you're not solid. I know a lot of people, and I've actually had a client that's particularly, felt very solid, looked at everything on the outside, was so empty within because it wasn't anything that she wanted to particularly do. She was just doing it just to say it, just to align with to make someone else proud and happy. And I'm like, well, what about you? Are you having? No, you can just tell by the body language, like the slump shoulders, the drop chest. This like wasn't fulfilled. So you're absolutely right. If you got to know and see what solid is. If you're solid inside and out, where you're standing strong of what you did for your accomplishments, then fine. But if there's some hollowness anywhere in the middle, then I don't agree on that aspect. He said, yes, thank you. Okay, cool. So if there's any particular other questions or anything like that you have, we are wrapping up to our hour. But definitely, please, if you have any particular questions or anything, and if this was helpful for you guys and you enjoyed this, please share. Do not be selfish. Share with others where this could be a sense of hope and inspiration and something that they need, and some nuggets that as much as has fulfilled you, that can fulfill for others. Okay, so he said, I disagree, because you could be solid and know you accomplish what you want, but there's a whole lot more moments in life that you can go after and not be just solid, but in a more positive, successful state, if that makes sense.
No, that's what I was blending the other side. The solid is like success. It is subjective to the person who's saying it, basically. But once I've reached or I've amassed a certain thing, when we say solid, maybe because I can't see the comments, I'm sorry, is should I just rest here? And my thing is, should you replicate the system to I'm a tree, but can I replicate this into a whole grove? Because that success that you have, it's really tied to, it's authentic. It's authentic. It's altruistic. It's the real deal. And so now real leadership is leaving a legacy of your strong points, of what you did well, sowing your success, your for real, your heart, your guts, your courage into other people so that they can experience and then pay it forward or plant it forward. So I think we're all kind of saying the same thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. No, yeah, I definitely agree. And yeah, I agree with you what you're saying, particularly, Darren, as far as so what we are saying the same thing. If you're solid with your accomplishments and it gives a sense of fulfillment, then boom, you're there. You get what I'm saying? You're where you are. But if it's just in a sense where there's no authenticity behind it, then yeah, no, it's not of a sense of. But he said, I like your words, Elise. I know you can't see the comment. So he said, I like your words.
Well, thank you. You want some of that success juice, brother?
Yes, bring the success juice going on. But yes, thank you for tuning in, guys. Like I said, definitely share this. Tune in next week at the Purpose Lab, the Bus Up Chat series here. And on Tuesday at 9:30, as I mentioned before, I'm Lauren Elsie Thriver.
Denise from the Delta South.
And we definitely appreciate everything that you guys were tuning in. So we hope you have a great evening. Good night, and we will see you guys next Tuesday.
Peace.
Bye.